Mark, I'll start with an is it just me? Is it just me? It didn't end the way we all wanted it to end, but my goodness, this four-nation face-off and the way that it exceeded everybody's expectations. I assume it exceeded yours?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Last night was awesome. Congratulations to you, Mike Evans, and your team, Team Canada.
I was not
great
rooting
organization.
I was not rooting
Wait
for
a minute.
Canada. I was not. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay,
Mike was rooting for Team Canada. That's his organization.
No, I wasn't. Although I have to say, if they had to lose, the fact that Nathan MacKinnon scored another goal and was named the tournament MVP was not a bad silver lining.
No,
Yeah.
it was a great game. It was entertaining, man. When the U.S. went up 2-1 in the second period, incredible. They had a couple of shots. Matthews had a couple of opportunities in overtime to poke them in there to win that thing. Didn't get it done. It was a phenomenal tournament. You know what's crazy, though? As exciting as it was, had it been Canada and Finland, nobody would have cared, right?
Correct.
Nobody would have cared. It just is. It was like this perfect storm. It's great for hockey, and I think one of the things that resonates with me about hockey or about football is the integrity of those two sports because of the physicality that occurs in those two sports. So,
Great point.
like when you play that game, right? You may lose. If you don't show up, you'll lose on the scoreboard. But you get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
Like, and there's integrity in that, right? Like, if you show up on a football field and you aren't ready to play, somebody is going to throttle you. And that's what I love about hockey. That's what I love about football. And it's why I just don't think you'll ever fix the NBA All-Star game because it's not played that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. The physicality of it. Not only
Can't fake that.
Yeah, not only that you'd get your butt kicked, but you only kind of need, if it's an exhibition game, you only need a few players who show up and start playing that way. And it's like, well, everybody else better elevate their game or they're really going to get dominated. In a basketball game, if a couple guys show up and they're playing really hard, they're just getting breakaway dunks, right? They're not gonna knock you on your butt. They're not gonna injure you. So I do think the physicality of it added to that. Mike, though, was all bent out of shape because McDavid scored the game-winning goal.
Not bent,
and
but
the
just
inferiority
sour.
complex came out of, here we go. People are going to look at him as the best player in the world. And he's forgetting MacKinnon got the MVP of the whole tournament. But yet we're still getting overlooked, Stink. We're still getting overlooked, according to Mike.
Well, I mean, McDavid, everybody does. Like they do McJesus. Like when your nickname is McJesus, it's, you know what? It's hard not to be a little bit jealous over that. So I get it. But the good news is Mike, changed his affiliation to Team Canada anyhow. So he should be happy about it.
He was excited.
Yeah, he was excited overall. He was like, wow, all these Canadians are scoring goals. This is awesome.
No, that was
Pretty
not.
gosh darn terrific.
That was not the case, Mark Schlereth. And how dare you slander me that way? It's not an inferiority complex. It's just the sense that what I see is I recognize that Nathan MacKinnon, Nikola Jokic, that not only are they the best players in their game, but I see it because I see how they play in the biggest moments and how they go out and prove that they should be in the MVP conversation or should be the favorite, should win it. And it just seems to me that I just don't feel like those two get their just due.
What would be their just due?
Like in the case of Connor McDavid, it is a widely held opinion that Connor McDavid is the best player in hockey. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. The guy has not won a Stanley Cup. Whenever I've seen him on the ice, on the same ice or head-to-head with Nathan MacKinnon, I think it's obvious. I think it was obvious throughout this tournament, even though the fact that McDavid scored the game winner, most of that game last night, he was stumbling around. The puck was bouncing off his stick. He was losing control of the puck. Meanwhile, Nathan MacKinnon, you're just watching the game. It's like this guy's the best player on the ice. And so it's to me, it's not that. See, an inferiority complex is such that you believe that the person that you're, in this case, that you're rooting for is better than he really is, and you're upset he doesn't get credit for it. I think I know how good these guys are, and I don't think they get enough credit. There's a difference between an inferiority complex, James, and just the sense that they're not getting their just due.
Okay.
There's a difference, and when it comes to McKinnon and Nikola Jokic, that's how I feel.
Okay, well, I don't know what his just due would be then for Jokic. He's won 3 MVPs. Again, going back to this Courts of Gold documentary that's fantastic on Netflix, I recommend everybody watch it. Over and over and over again, whether it's Steve Kerr, whether it's coaches for France, whether it's whoever, they refer to him as the best player in the world.
Right.
Every single person does.
Right.
So, I don't know how many more flowers this guy needs.
Sure, Gabe recognizes game. I get that. But I'm just talking about the general rank-and-file NBA fan out there around the world. Or same thing with hockey. That's what irritates me.
The number one slight in Nathan McKinnon's career, the one time he didn't get his just due, he should have won the Conn Smythe Trophy. Not Cale Makar. Cale Makar was great in the playoffs, but they could win without Cale Makar. They ain't winning squat without Nathan McKinnon. They're not. He's Reggie Jackson. He's the straw that stirs the drink. That, to me, was the time he didn't get his just due because he should have been the Conn Smythe winner.
How many times? What's the MVP one?
Hart Trophy.
What? The Hart Trophy. He won the Hart Trophy last year, right?
Last year,
yeah.
But that's the only Hart Trophy the guy's had, right?
Yes.
How about Connor McDavid? How many Hart Trophies has he won?
3.
3?
3.
And he's got how many? He's got how many Stanley Cup championships?
0.
So,
and the one time he went up against McKinnon in a series, he got swept, and was invisible in the process of.
Right, and I think that's where I don't want to speak for you, but I think that's kind of where you're coming from in the conversations you and I have had before about when they're head to head on ice in a playoff. That one wasn't close, so I get it. Everybody's enamored with him, but I understand why you're upset. So I get that.
Okay, how about this? Watching the tournament, I think Nathan McKinnon is the best player in the world. I don't disagree with you.
Right.
I think Connor McDavid's probably second. They're both a hell of a lot better than Austin Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that was painfully obvious. Mm-hmm. Austin Matthews last night blew the game for the U.S.
Fair.
He had plenty of chances to score in overtime, couldn't get it done. And then he botched the faceoff, and 5 seconds later, the puck's in the back of the net, and the game's over. So those two guys, listen, I don't have a problem with Connor McDavid getting his accolades because he's a great player. I would be upset if Austin Matthews was getting the love because he plays in Toronto, and it's one of the original 6 and all that nonsense over Nathan McKinnon. I think that would be a bigger beef.
Okay. So we've got that going on. You can respond to the. So I don't know. You didn't hear it. You were working. So let me bring you up to speed here, Stank.
Okay.
James wants to trade Patrick Surtain.
What?
Yeah, go ahead, James. Defend the indefensible.
Okay. Well, first of all, cornerback is a luxury position. If you don't have the rest of your defense taken care of, it only does so much good. We saw evidence of this year. He's the defensive player of the year. After Thanksgiving, they were the worst defense in football. In the playoff game, they couldn't get the Bills off the field. The Buffalo had the ball for 42 minutes because everybody wants to talk about how he takes away half the field. He doesn't. He takes away 1 out of 5 receivers. He takes away 20% of them. And if a team wants to just ignore him, they can. And if your other 10 guys aren't good enough, then it doesn't matter that you have him out there. As we saw this year, his value is never going to be higher. If you could parlay him into multiple first-round picks and you get multiple starters, that's good value. And then Mike wound up agreeing with me because I said, would you trade him straight up for Myles Garrett? He said yes. Would you trade him straight up for Micah Parsons? He said yes. And why? Because those guys play impact position. Cornerback is a luxury position. That's my case.
See, that's okay. Before you answer, Stink, let me just clarify.
That was the case.
I don't think it's a luxury. I still believe that what he plays is an impact position, and he proved that this year. I'm just saying that if I'm building a defense, I would acknowledge that there are a couple more impact, not luxury, impact positions that I'd put ahead of corner.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Corner is obviously it's one of the pillared positions, or one of the positions that are the pillar of how you pay your your football team, right? Like lockdown corner is going to get paid. Wide receiver 1 is going to get paid. Pass rusher off the edge is going to get paid. Like those things are your left tackle, your quarterback. Those things are going to get paid, or those positions are going to get paid. Would I value a great pass rusher over a great corner? Absolutely, I would. So to your point, is if you could trade Myles Garrett straight across for a Pat Surtain,
correct?
Would I do it? Absolutely, I would do it.
Right, but would you trade Patrick Surtain for 2 first-round picks?
No, I wouldn't trade Patrick Surtain for 2 unknowns. I would never trade a known commodity of the defensive player of the year, a shutdown corner, for 2 unknown commodities. I wouldn't do it.
How about this one, real quick? Would you do what the Redskins did back in the day? They traded Champ Bailey for Clinton Portis. Would you trade Pat Surtain for Saquon Barkley?
Would I trade Pat Surtain for Saquon Barkley? No.
Okay, I don't know that I would either.
Because I think that as great as Saquon is, and he is great, the shelf life of a running back we've seen those guys fall off the table. And I'm not saying he will, but I'm saying the likelihood of him falling off over Pat Surtain, to me, is there's more likelihood that he'll fall off.
And let's while recognizing how great Saquon Barkley was, guys like Mark have been telling you for the last 2 years that Philadelphia is the most talented team in the NFL. And they didn't win the Super Bowls, but they were the most talented team in the NFL. This year they added Barkley, and Barkley, it was undisputed that he helped put them over the top. But it wasn't like the cupboard was bare.
No, not at all.
Before he got there.
And I'll get into this later in the show. But when you look at how that roster is built, look at who they spend. Their top 10 guys in their salary cap. It's all the guys you'd think it would be. And then when you look at the top 10 guys on the Broncos, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a poorly constructed roster.
Yeah, no, it has been for a